Greetings, greetings, one and all. My name is Joanne Richards Goff. Welcome to the Crucial Conversations. Crucial Conversations. And this is episode 24, by the way. Crucial Conversations is brought to you courtesy of the KW magazine, Crucial Connections in Faith and Culture. The purpose of this magazine is to facilitate conversations about worship and cultural identity. We want to get to know ourselves better. We want to get to know each other better. And ultimately, we want to build deeper, more authentic relationships with our Creator Yahweh. So now come, we are about to have a very crucial conversation. Call your friend, call your family, your brother, your sister, your uncle, and everybody that you think needs to have this conversation. So we are going to play our theme song. And while we're playing our theme song, then you can go ahead and share. Whoa, yeah. Come, make we worship Him. Come, make we dance and sing. Give thanks and praise to the King of Kings. Come, make we worship Him. Our provider. Come, make we worship Him. Whoa. Come, make we dance and sing. Give thanks and praise to the King of Kings. Come, make we worship Him. Now we protect. Come, make we worship Him. Come, make we dance and sing. Give thanks and praise to the King of Kings. Come, make we worship Him. How we deliver. Come, make we worship Him. Come, make we dance and sing. Give thanks and praise to the King of Kings. Come, make we worship Him. Come, make we worship Him. Come, make we dance and sing. Give thanks and praise to the King of Kings. Come, make we worship Him. Come, make we worship Him. Come, make we dance and sing. Give thanks and praise to the King of Kings. Come, make we worship Him. Jehovah, worship Him. Jehovah. Yes, we really hope that you were able to share with as many of your friends and relatives as possible so that we can begin this crucial conversation. Yeah? So now we have in the room with us. All right, let me start with Dana Barrett, because you will be seeing her inside the Facebook page, KW Magazine, Crucial Connections in Faith and Culture. And Dana is the one who's going to be interfacing with you right there. So welcome, Dana. Always great to have you. Last week, you were on the other side. You were the one talking to us about hair. Yes, it was wonderful. But we have my beautiful co-host, Denise Simpson. And Denise and I are going to be leading this conversation with, you may be wondering, who are we going to be having this conversation with? Well, if you're here, you probably know already. We are with Dr. Andrew Marshall. Dr. Marshall, please show us your face. People, let me tell you, he wrote the Run-A-Boat Symphony. He wrote the Nyabinghi Symphony, the Kongkongkraba, aka Abeng Symphony, Reggae Mass Revival Suite, and will for sure go down in history as being the first to write complete cantatas using text directly from the Jamaican New Testament. There is a whole lot more to Dr. Andrew Marshall, though. And we are so happy to have you. So
Thanks so
happy to
much for
have
having me,
you.
Joanne.
Yes, man. So this is where we are on a Saturday having these conversations. I don't know if you've ever managed to watch any of them before, but this time you are on this side of the screen and we are very happy to have you. Aren't we, Denise?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely a delight.
Yes. When last week, when we mentioned your name, Denise went, Yay! Yes. Um, there's so much that we need to know about you, but we always start with the basic question, and that is this. Which part you born and grow? Where you come from?
Well, I was born in Jamaica in St. Andrew.
Yes.
And at the time my family and I, we were living in St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Portmore. Then when I was about 6, we moved to Green Acres, which is just outside Spanish Town. And that's where the family house is. So born and raised in Jamaica.
Born and raised in Jamaica, and spent, you would say you spent most of your time in St. Catherine, would you say?
That's correct. Yes. I attended church. We attended church in
Yeah.
Kingston for, I'd say, 90% of the time. When we were living in Green Acres, my parents tried to go more locally to church. That
Yeah.
worked out for about a year, but
Okay.
our connection to the congregation that my father was at was very strong, and we ended up returning. So Kingston was very much hand in hand with the St. Catherine experience.
So that tell me again, if you told me already here, where exactly in Kingston was this church?
Okay, the Trenchtown SDA Church, Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Okay.
My father is from that area, and he, as a younger man, became a Seventh-day Adventist, became an
Mhm.
elder at the church, and of course, we as his children, the family, ended up going there, and that's where our roots are, friends, and just a strong connection with the persons that were and are in our lives up until this time.
Okay. Trenchtown. Now you know Trenchtown has been iconized as a space for music. And I am wondering though, what was your earliest introduction to music?
Well, I know, having gotten older, know about the connection with Trenchtown and music, but growing up, I wasn't aware of
Ah,
that connection. I know that my parents sent my siblings and I to piano lessons,
hmm,
and so I started piano lessons at about age 6,
okay.
and we were doing formal piano scales, technical exercises. We were learning classical repertoire.
Hmm.
And since then, up until, I would say, undergraduate studies, up to
Yeah.
college, I was doing private piano. So that was my first introduction to music and learning about it.
So, did you know that you were going to be a composer? Is it something that you had in mind or aspired to be?
I did not, absolutely not. I
Hey,
feel I was being a dutiful son, and look, you're going to piano lessons, or all right, mommy, daddy, I'm going to piano lessons, and
isn't that
and
interesting?
there were times, of course, I think like any other younger person, you want to be outside, you want to be playing and having lots of fun, and a lot of that happened. But there were also times that we had to practice. So my mother was a particular, she was the one that was, well, with us in great part, and
Mhm.
my father as well. But he was working, and mom, she was a stay-at-home mom for most of the time. So she
Oh,
made sure that we practiced every single day, right? And
wow.
she's around in the kitchen, she's hearing the piano going. If the piano stops, Andrew, Jeffrey, Sarah, so that part of it was
Mhm.
very important. So it was just piano lessons, and we had to go piano if there was some program for that was related to the classes, then
Mhm.
those were attended to. But the thought about writing music at that time was not something that I entertained. I think the only bit of writing that I did in those earlier years was related to music theory. because there's a portion of the theory expectation that you have to compose. It's for those of our listeners that may do the Associated Board and Rural Schools exams, there's a portion of that you have to write music. But that was about the only foray into writing at the time that I did and pursued.
So I'm interested in hearing, when did it strike you that this is something that I want to do?
Okay, well, at Trenchtown, when I was in about third form, I co-founded a group with my brother called Harrison Harmony. So it was the kind of the youth choir there. But out of that, I wrote I suppose it would be my first song. And we did it as an introit at Trenchtown. And then later down, I did a spiritual styled piece that we started. I remember a Sunday afternoon rehearsal that we had, but we didn't get to finish it. So that was my initial foray into writing something and then having either someone or a group perform. If we fast forward now into undergrad at Western College, I became NCU in 2000. And I was applying to grad school to study. And the repertoire that we were doing for the expectations was mainly classically based. And so I was looking for material that could reflect some of our own culture. And I didn't find any at the time. I had to get the video turned in. And so I said, all right, let me just arrange something. And I remember walking up at the start of went to do the Virgin Mary, because one of the videos that I was going to take of the choir performing to submit for the audition was going to be the Christmas concert, Feast of Lights. So I formed a group. We were preparing for the audition video. And I said, let me put a piece of our culture in it. So that was an arrangement that I did. So I would suspect that was that start. But one last thing, when I went to Westminster, my graduate recital as a conducting major, music ed conducting, we had to do a concert of 30 minutes. Again, looking around for Jamaican repertoire, couldn't find any, and I came down in the summer, went to Music Mart. I was there on the floors, going through, and I wasn't able to put my hand on anthems that I could. And so I again did an arrangement, and my professor at the time was very gracious to allow me to do it with the group, and that was an arrangement I did of evening time. And that, then for me, was the time that I really said, okay, the repertoire is there, I'm sure. I'm certainly not the first. I can't be the first. But for what I'm doing and for what I'd like to do, I would like to contribute to this body of music as my abilities allow me to.
Nice.
So that was the end of my studies in New Jersey, 2004. So I'd say that was when I said, all right, this is what I'm going to now set my hand to do much more intentionally.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Intentionality is
Yes,
critical.
yes.
It's critical to the development of any nation, any movement, any cause. You just have to be intentional about what you're doing. And we are so happy that you saw that space. And you're right, it's not you're not the first to write and compose material that is by Jamaican for Jamaicans, but there are other things that you are the first to do, though, and but we soon get to that. We soon get to that. One of the questions, and by the way, for our audience, let me see who Dana, anybody in the room? Well, anyway, I know that there are some people who were asking for the link and all of that. So if you are here, just share the link with your people. And I wanted to let our viewers know, if you don't know already, that people we talk with on CREWShall Conversations are people who have been featured in previous issues of the KW magazine. So it is within that context now that I'm going to ask this question. In that magazine, we had asked, and this was issue 5. I can't help but notice, that was me, I can't help but notice that you have done work highlighting the plight of the poor, vulnerable, and disenfranchised. Talk to us about this concern that you have and what is the root of it.
Okay, well, I believe, Joanne, the reference you may be talking about is the Orange Lane in memoriam that was done. I was at the time reading a book on Michael Manley,
Mhm.
and in one of the chapters, the incident was relayed about an incident that took place on Orange Lane. And I remembered stopping on the page, just pausing for a second, and I looked back on the page and I said, is this something that really happened? It took place in the 70s.
Hmm.
And I said, why is it that, that I'm just hearing of it? It seemed like such a significant event in our history.
Yeah.
And so to date, I'd heard nothing either in the public media or otherwise. And so at the time, I was finishing up the piece of which it is a part, a violin suite for Stephen Woodham. And I said, you know what? I think I would like to memorialize this occasion, to bring in whatever small way that I can some attention to what happened.
Yeah.
And so, oh, by the way, the piece is entitled Kingston Caprice. So
Kingston
the
Caprice.
Caprice. So there are 4 movements, and each of the movements speak to some aspect of Kingston. So the first movement is the waterfront. Second movement, it's the Ballad of the Old Waterfront. Second movement is 13 Brentford Road, which is where the studios that Bob Marley and many of the other trailblazers studied. And then the last movement is Palisados. But I said, you know what, let me, for the third movement, let me focus on this incident that also took place in Kingston.
Okay.
As a sort of remembrance, a moment of remembrance to what happened. And so I'm very happy that I came across the incident when I did, Joanne. And I felt that it, for me, needed to have that kind of artistic treatment because I wanted, again, as I mentioned earlier, in whatever way that I could, to bring attention to it artistically, and also in so doing to do whatever would have been possible for us as a people to not have that type of occurrence happen again. And another theme I remembered in the book even was that a former Prime Minister, Michael Manley, regretted some of the decisions that he made that brought about some of the terrible acts of violence during that time. And so I know that in many ways, the leadership of the country is, they are unanimous in that thought process to ensure that, look, what happened and the way that it did is not something that we want to repeat. So I wanted to, again, bring attention to it. And I hope that as it is performed and as it is heard, that we will take its occurrence to heart and play our part as citizens to keep it at bay, situations like that at bay.
Okay, I am going to actually play the that piece that is on, I found it on YouTube. So we're going to play
Good stuff.
what?
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Here we
I'm happy
go.
that you're going to.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to finish what you want to, man.
What? Nobody
It finished?
Oh,
No. You don't have to go back. But Andrew. Oh my word. You know what I'm loving about this, Joanne? Andrew, I if I could go back in time and choose a history teacher, I would choose you. Because you're not only giving me the written documentation of what happened, but the music and the pictures evoke, you know, the information that may not be readily accessible if you are reading. If you understand what you see, when that violin went up to that high pitch, oh gosh.
Hold on, Denise. I must tell
Oh
you,
gosh.
I saw a portion of the music, the notation, right? And written on it. You know how normally, okay, for people who, and Yakengele and hi Barbie, Yakengele is asking what work are we listening to? You're going to have to go rewind, but it is a piece of work by Dr. Andrew Marshall, who we're speaking with right now. And so for those who read music, you know that you have what you call Italian terms and other, I don't think all of them are in Italian, but terms that tell you how to perform portions of the music or how to perform the whole thing, or, you know. And I saw something written in the Jamaican language.
Yes.
Say, it feel it wholly. In other words, with deep feeling. What would have been the Italian term that would have been used there, Andrew?
Molto espressivo.
Molto espressivo. But I mean, when I saw the thing, and this is one of the things about Dr. Marshall that I just love.
Admire, respect, maximum.
The way he makes these things accessible across the board. I mean, molto espressivo.
Yeah.
Wholly.
Andrew, you need to understand that I'm not a musician. Me no like classical pieces. Me no, but for you, me listen. I listen, and that's a gift. That is an awesome gift.
Yes. Who did the I'm sorry, who did the video? Who put that video together?
I put the video together.
My God. Because I'm watching and I'm saying this is more than just the music, you know. This is the decision as to what to include in the video. And it is how that one picture of that little boy with the tear.
Yes.
It was used.
Yes.
And then the music, there was something else that struck me. No,
is it
the summary, I mean,
of the report.
Did you go into the library and get that? Where did you get that?
I got it online. I was fortunate to have found an online copy of the document from the Jamaica Library website. So I was just over the moon to be able to grab it. Yes.
That is a piece of history right there. And I'm sad to say that when they said it was some young males, am I correct? Young Jamaican males. I don't know if it's idleness or what, but with the intent, them deliberately burned down this building that housed indigent, well, not at home. Were they homeless? I'm trying to remember.
No, it was a community in that area. So, you know, we're talking inner city Kingston.
Right.
So, you know, but it was politically charged. And again, there's debate about why it happened, how it happened, but it's clear that it did happen.
It did happen, and it was intentional. That is a negative intentionality that we don't need. We don't need it to happen again, people. And I am praying that even this work would help people to, I mean, it reached me, it reached my belly. So praying that it reached somebody else's belly who may have some negative intent, but somehow is able to be reached. You can is saying, what are the name of the piece? So the whole piece is Kingston Caprice. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
And this is movement number three.
Three.
Three. The third movement, Yekengele. You really going to need to go look it up and probably reach out to Andrew to see where you can get the music, because I can just see Yekengele as someone we have interviewed here before as well. You know, really getting deep into it. Vivian, Dr. Vivian Peter is here. So good to have you. And inside the room, we have Noel Wallace. Happy to have you, Noel. And Renee is greeting us as well, Renee Lambert. So, Barbie is telling us it was a part of a housing complex. That was it.
Yes.
That was
And just quickly, Andrew, when did you write it or publicize this piece?
Sure. Well, ladies, first, thank you for your very warm comments. I have been in contact with Mr. Woodham professionally with his orchestra, and he's, of course, one of Jamaica's premier violinists and conductors. And again, with the intention of, in whatever way that I could, engaging the musically talented among us, I said, you know, Stephen, would you allow me to write a piece for you? And he was very accommodating. Yeah. And then that was the impetus for the writing in general. From there, it was, okay, what would I like to write about? Would I like to have it formally sound like other types of music within its genre? Because other composers have treated extended works in the form of sonatas or or longer, what they call tone poems, or like a kind of mini concerto. But I wanted to give it as much as a Jamaican glaze as I could. And the more I thought about it, as an initial, if the Lord gives me life and strength, I would like to do some more pieces in that genre. But I said, well, what better place to start than Kingston? You know, it's the capital, it's the lifeblood, and there's so much happening there. And then from there, I said, all right, let me take different scenes of the town and put that and have that reflected in the music, which I alluded to earlier. And as I mentioned, it so happened that I was reading the book on Michael Manley, and that incident on Orange Lane was very impressive on me. And I said, this needs to have, for me, it needed to have that treatment.
Yes. It's just by the way, right? Coincidence. Yes. By coincidence. Yes. Well, you know, I've written a book called God Incidences, in which I say I don't believe in coincidences. So just for what that is worth. Indeed. No, one of the things you will definitely go down in history for is your compositions that utilize the text of the Jamaican New Testament. Now, when I was growing up here in Jamaica, I was forbidden. Speaking Jamaican language was prohibited by my parents and many other spaces. Was that what it was like for you? Was that your experience with Jamaican language growing up?
It was. My mother is from Guyana. Originally, she lived in England and then came to Jamaica. My father is Jamaican. We weren't ironclad about it, but it was definitely something that was, just, make sure that the command of English is something that is maintained in the home. Yeah. So yes, I can say that was something that was at the forefront.
And yet that didn't stop you from writing.
I tell you what the impetus was again, Joanne. Remember I mentioned at the end of my graduate studies, after doing the conducting recital, and I, at the time, returned, I graduated, came back to Jamaica, and I decidedly sought out aspects of our culture, anything that I could grab onto, to unpack, and to try and find and use and express in these other kinds of ways that I felt in my researching and my lookings that have not been explored as extensively as in other areas. We have, as a country, achieved significant musical achievements, and we've explored the popular style. We've created genres, reggae, as we know, and the poetry and all of these other things, and we've explored even the digital components of that. We've utilized the sounds and the synthetic beats, and we've done a lot of work in that department. But there's another aspect of expression that, in my lookings, I've found has not received that type of as much exploration and treatment. And that was what I wanted to begin to do more so than what was already being done. And so with that in mind, again, just seeking out, when I heard that this was in 2004, so all that time I was, between 2004 and 2009, I was looking at folk songs. So there's this book that, author again, it's a Jamaican folk songs, Lloyd Bennett.
Okay.
Lloyd Hall.
Lloyd Hall.
Where he has a compilation of national songs. And so I bought that. I bought anything I could find that was Jamaican. I bought Mapletop Pool's Jamaican Folk Mass. I was down in Music Mart, just looking, finding. I bought some other books that I looked at articles. Someone came to Jamaica from overseas and they wrote down a lot of the folk songs or the religious type of styled music that took place in rural parts of Jamaica. Olive Lewin's book I came across later down. The book that she wrote, yes, had many folk songs, right, had many folk songs that I had seen in other material. But out of all of that, the articles, and I particularly found the article that the American that came to Jamaica to find material. And so from 2000 to 2009, I was just looking, and I was glad to be able to find that Jamaican material and content. Yes. 2012 now, when I heard about the Jamaica New Testament, man, I ran up and down the house. I don't know if I grabbed some pot covers and pants. I said, I mean, even now, as we speak, I am just waiting on the Old Testament, right? Just waiting on, because this, for me, as someone that is trying to write music and trying to utilize this other mode or other type of expression, I'm just very happy to receive these aspects of Jamaicanisms that can serve as the impetus to now begin the creative process to reflect aspects of our culture.
Yes.
And so with that in mind, the JNT, which I have my copy here, is the first version I got, still have it here. It's all thumbed up, but it has been, for me, very inspirational in that journey to know, I mean, to begin with, regardless of what's happening or what may be happening with the music, it's inherently Jamaican just by virtue of the text. Every Jamaican, no matter where we are in the world, we speak it, we understand it, and because of that and what I was trying to do with, again, expanding that aspect of expression, I found it to be quite a muse in that journey.
You know, Joanne, I'm getting the inspiration to ask you to find one of those pieces. Do you remember the one that you and I watched the other day, the one that is based on Saul's conversion? Andrew, we looked at that one. That was so beautiful. Can we just share with our viewers, you know, you can go on looking for it while Andrew is answering the next question. Is it possible, Joanne?
Well, so here is this now. And by the way, greetings to Phyllis from Texas. Good to see you. And Othniel Lewis is saying greetings. And so is Christopher J. Lloyd Mott. The musicians are coming out of the woodwork this week.
Yeah.
Bring them out, Andrew. So no, as to whether we can find that, I was thinking, let me tell you what I was thinking, that we could introduce Sashika now. I don't know, yes, because Sashika did send me a clip of her singing a portion of the cantata, the Christmas cantata it was in 2018. Now, Sashiko, you can show your face, please. Sashiko was my student back in 2015, and it's really a joy to watch you, Sashiko, growing in your art.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yes, she's very, very serious about the singing thing.
you.
Yes, and I taught her survey of Caribbean music, and we have had
Mhm, mhm.
many interesting conversations in the class. All right, so I am going to share this clip with us.
And while you're looking for that, Vivian Peter is saying that she has never heard any of these symphonies before. So maybe sometime later on we can share some. Is this one with Shashika based on the New Testament, Jamaican New Testament?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
the piece she's doing is from Jesus Agabon, and that's
Okay,
from Luke's 1, just that first part of Luke.
okay.
Okay.
Correct.
Sashiko, would you like to tell us just a little bit about what this is about? What are you singing about before we actually listen to it?
Okay, so this is Elizabeth speaking here, and she's saying she's come out to greet Mary, and she's saying, wow, like I can't believe the mother of the Lord is here to meet me. And so she talks about when she hears Mary's voice, and that her child in her stomach leaps at the sound of her voice. And I think she talks too about the angel who came to her to give her the message that her cousin was pregnant. And that's basically what's happening in this area here.
Okay, so we are about
Mhm.
to watch you singing this. Whoa, let me just stop that sound here. Oh, you know, Denise, you talk, because me kind of overwhelmed.
You kind of, okay, take a minute. You know what I appreciate. I still feel impressed to share. I think it's the Jamaican choral scholars.
Okay.
That's it.
The
Correct.
Jamaican
Yes.
choral
Yes.
Yes. I
scholars.
want.
All right.
Andrew, can you just tell us the name of that? It was a 2020 virtual
Yes.
Yes,
Concert.
performance.
that was
Okay.
it.
And yes, can you just give us the name of that
Sure.
concert?
Sure. It's the Jamaica Choral Scholars Festival 2020,
Okay.
virtual concert. And if you go on my YouTube page, YouTube ASTCM7, slash ASTCM7, and you click on the videos and you can find it. And in part of that staging, we did a piece that we premiered there based on the New Testament, the Apostle Paul when him turn one believer. And
Yes.
that relates the incident as narrated in the Jamaican New Testament about the conversion of Paul. So we did an oratorio there, which the Jamaican term one long scripture music, and the choral scholars were a part of that. We had a guest singer, Ryan Bryce Davis, that was the narrator. So that performance can be found at that link on YouTube.
All right. Now,
Okay. But I
I want
want to
I want to.
respond to
Mhm.
Sashika's performance just now. You're blessed more than all other woman. And the me inside of your belly, blessed too. How did, Sashika, how did you feel singing this in Jamaican language, but with a um in a genre that Jamaicans are not known for singing in?
Okay. That's a very good question. For me, patois is something that I enjoy a lot. Um, it's something that I heard a lot growing up. My grandmother, the people them at my yard, they spoke patois to me. It was always something that was a part of the landscape of my home.
Mhm.
And um, it is always very special to me to be able to sing in patois, and especially with the kind of work that Dr. Marshall does. I'm always really very happy to be a part of it because, it's this kind of pioneering work that I believe is important. And however it is that I can lend my skills to further that and to be a part of that, I'm always really excited to be able to do that. So this time in 2018, I think, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was maybe one of the first cantatas that we had done. So I don't, in terms of like my preparation, to sing and to, in learning the text, interpreting the text and all of that, it's not something that's very different from how I would prepare any other oratorio. But it's just more special to me because it's in patois, and it's just something that I really enjoy doing, and I'm always very honored to be able to share, music that is written in this kind of way with this text, especially.
Yeah. You might want to unmute yourself, Andrew. Um, yes.
Well, I'm very happy to hear Sashika say that. And Sashika has been, like the Jamaican New Testament text, a muse for me. The Sashikas that inspire me to, again, try my hand on music to create it because of her talent and her willingness and the desire to work along with me. I'll be honest with you, Joanne, that I see the work that I'm doing as one big experiment. Okay, someone, if Sashika, for example, may say, oh, the the textual treatment in this part may have been, and she may go into a discussion on how this particular vowel fits into that part of her voice. Just the other day when we were preparing for our program, our virtual program coming up on Friday, and you
Yeah,
were
we're
in the
gonna
room, and
want you to tell us about that, by the way, so to make
okay,
sure.
sure. No problem. And we were
Yeah.
talking about some technical things, Karam, and we were talking, and then I said, Karam, look, right now the landscape is very open. What you're doing now, your treatment, your understanding of the text, how you're putting it in your voice, how you're interpreting it, you just go with God, right? It was done with you in mind, and I wanted to assure him and to assure Sashika and the singers that, look, you guys are Jamaicans, right? If nobody else can do it, you can do it. I've just tried to set it to music. I know this is just that other layer. This is that other extension. How will Sashika treat it? How will Karen treat it? How will the Yui singers treat it? How will other groups around? And I feel that their work is in many ways setting that tone and that foundation for hopefully what will become a continued part of what we're doing musically here in Jamaica.
And Denise may find it here, so we can play a little piece of it in a little while. Yeah.
All right. Okay, because I was busy trying to find the part of it.
I don't know which part I find, to tell you the honest truth, but at least
Yes.
we're gonna get a little portion of it. And then we want Andrew and Sashika to tell us about the upcoming performance, right?
All right. So you're gonna play that now?
Would you like me to, or you want me to wait?
No, man. Start at 24.
What?
Minute
24?
Yeah, 24 minutes. Yes.
Oh,
I hope I have it right.
24.
Or a little bit before 24.
Okay, I was at 14. All right.
And just to give our listeners or viewers, sorry, Andrew, that this is about Saul's conversion, as you said, and you have the lead singer. Can you remind her her name, please?
Absolutely. Her name is Rayanne Bryce Davis.
Right. And she is giving like a narration about his experience and how he saw the light and he suffered, that kind of thing. And then you have the choral coming in now. Yes, start a little bit before 24, Joanne. And hopefully the viewers now will get excited to go and watch the rest afterwards. What is something that I watched more than once? Because it blessed me tremendously. And Joanne, you can share screen whenever you're ready.
She did, and she insisted that we watch it with her too. And we were just, I've seen your works before, but I guess each one is going to be a different kind of amazing. So, sharing screen.
Yes.
On your road to the Lord.
Yes. Thanks for insisting on that, Denise. Yes, people. So tell me now, and greetings to my pastor all the way in Burkina Faso, Josue De Palma. Good to see you. And Ron Mattison is saying, blessings all. Andrew, big up. Yeah. All right. And Dana in the room is saying, this is amazing. It's just amazing. So tell us what we have looking forward to. It's Friday coming, right?
Yes. So this Friday will be a solo concert featuring soloists from the Jamaica Choral Scholars, of which Sashika is a part. And it will feature excerpts from another extended work I wrote called Jesus Passion. And it takes text from Matthew 27 and 28, talking about what Jesus went through from the time of his trial through to his resurrection. And so the choral scholars presently, we're preparing for our concert at the end of the year. So this program is a Jamaica Choral Scholars Festival event that doesn't feature the choir, but we're still continuing our emphasis with Jamaican centric, anything that's Jamaican in its heart. And so I said, okay, well, I think this is something that we could do at the beginning of the year. And I'm so happy Sashika Brown, who's here in the room, Daniel Brown, who's graduating with her Bachelor of Arts degree in Music Ed from NCU this summer, Karim Chang, talented freelance musician and vocal coach consultant, Callington Blake, also graduate from NCU as a baritone. And all together, they present scenes and pieces from the larger work, which is about 80 minutes long. This show is going to be about 45 minutes long. And it, again, looks at scenes talking about when Judas betrayed Jesus, then when Jesus is on the cross. And then we talk about Sunday morning when he gets up from the tomb and the soldiers are on the ground and the angel is there and he's speaking to us. And then, of course, he ascends into heaven, all using text from the Jamaican Bible. And there's some other text in there that was put in otherwise. But again, just that continued exploration into exploring how the text would sound on this other type of sonic platform. So that will happen on Friday at 8 o'clock via YouTube.
Okay, now when you say 8 o'clock, you see, there is a whole lot of confusion about time in the world today. Because when America changed to daylight saving time, I think that they think that everybody else knows that their time is different from what it used to be. So when you say 8 o'clock, is this 8 o'clock daylight saving time, Eastern Standard Time, Central Standard Time, Atlanta?
All right, so I tell you what, Joanne, I uploaded the video to YouTube last night.
Oh.
And when it said for the premiere that's going to happen on Friday, the time said 8 o'clock EST. So hold on. So all right. I want to make sure that the time is right. So I looked at the time on my computer. It said 8. I went on Google, checked some things. It said, all right, 8 o'clock EST. So what YouTube is telling me is that 8 o'clock in the location that I am at right now is the time that it's going to be held. As for that other piece now, about who is adjusting to who, that is another conversation.
Another story, right?
So I can say that it will be 8 o'clock here in Massachusetts where I am, and I suspect Jamaica is 1 hour behind, or I suspect we are an hour ahead, or however you want to look at it. But if you are in Jamaica, tune in at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And everything else, just you could check the link, and you'll see the countdown. It will say 2 days left or 1 hour left, and then you'll be able to.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarification. Boy, Denise, remember when I sent you the list of questions and there were like 13 questions and you said...
Before you even said that, right? Hold on. We're out of time, not true. No, ma'am, I have to ask this because this is in relation to Sashika's piece and the one that we just viewed a while ago. You said, Andrew, in the article that Joan mentioned earlier, that there are many benefits that can be obtained by combining the classical music and our Jamaican text, the details with which would require another forum outside of this response. Can you share with us some of the benefits you had in mind when you made that statement?
Certainly. Well, I'll try to be brief. I think one of the major benefits that can be gleaned is continued exploration into music literacy and technicality. Just being able to understand what music looks like when it's written down, using the systems that we presently are, and also using techniques to now interpret those symbols in a way that is going to be convincing and that will allow for audiences to receive what we are trying to say. So for example, in great part, if I was learning a popular song, okay, perhaps someone would go in studio, they came up with it, they record it on their phones, and then they go in studio, they put it on voice, and they want me to do the backup part. Well, they'll probably just send me a CD or an unlisted YouTube link, or just send me a voice note on their phone. You know, here's the kind of general mix. Let's kind of go into it, just put a harmony on it and so on. And that's perfectly fine. But if we're doing it in the way that I've been trying to do it, and so many others have done in the past, it forces us to, one, use the aspects of literacy that accompany this, the mode of capture that we're attempting to use to be able to communicate the music on page, on our paper. But it also forces us to question many of the established norms that have come to be associated with music. For example, Joanne, you mentioned when you saw Feel It Will in the Kingston Caprice. A question I asked myself is, why is it when we're writing music, certainly when we're studying music, Sashika now is doing her master's, and you know we've been studying music, and we, you know, it's just this emphasis on MF, mezzo forte, and tessitura, and forte, and all these different terms. Music notation software programs have as standard, for example, the dynamic palette, MF and F, and all of these are Italian terms, Riccisari, and you know, and I said, but why is this the standard? Why is this something that here in the West, in the United States, you know, these are companies that have been formed here. Well, why is this now the foundational point of departure? And so because of that, I concluded in my mind that it was something clearly that the Italians used because they were Italian. And God bless them, they've given us, and in the European continent, they've given us so much to work. They've gotten that aspect started for, but we are not in Italy. Okay, we are in Jamaica. How is it that I can, or that we can express this music now, or allow performers to best understand what we and how we want them to communicate in a way that we communicate? And many other composers have done this. That's why I know, you know, when Debussy was writing music, it was French terms, that's Saint-Saëns and so on, and Bernstein and Copland would indicate English terms. And in Russia, Tchaikovsky, there would be Russian terms. So, and all of this particularly started with the movement of nationalism in the late 19th century. But here we are in Jamaica. If we're going to do it in that way now, it's no longer about, in this instance, having a tune on a CD or on a voice note that you're learning and you can sing and you can do it well, which is fine. But if we're doing it in this way, now we're looking at arming ourselves with these other types of tools and questioning the system that has come to dominate what we have associated with the idea of being classical. And just one last thing, again, just the term classical, what on earth does that mean? I have always wondered, being in the United States, I've read about Leonard Bernstein, as I mentioned earlier, and other very prominent American composers and musicians. And they've attempted to, again, just break that mold where they're writing music that is attempting to reflect American culture. George Gershwin in particular He was asked to write music that did this specifically, and he was in Tin Pan Alley, wrote popular songs. Rhapsody in Blue is one of his most famous pieces. And we see aspects of America that are just wrapped up and bundled up. And the question in my mind is, with whatever abilities that I have to write music, how can the Jamaicanisms be similarly wrapped up, but how would the treatment of, how would a musical treatment in this way be the best communicated on the page and by extension by the performers like Sashika and others? And then in what way then does that music still remain classical? I don't know if it still does. And that's a part of the conversation or the evolution that we're a part of right now. We don't know, I don't know where it's going to go, but I feel that as a country, we are ready to embrace that level of expression. And again, this is not the first time it's being done. There have been so many others, Noel Dexter, Olive Lewin, and Peter Ashburn. I mean, there's so many that have been doing it. And in my little way, I want to put my pen to paper and see how we can expand that idea. And then who knows, it may have another name. Alison, she works at Wallace from Immaculate, used the term at the beginning of the 2018 concert. So I don't know if you remember, she said Jessica music. And I went like this. I said, And it's a term I've been using in the forewords of these pieces I've written. And I think in many ways that we reflect a very relevant and necessary departure from that which has been perpetuated as something that is so far from us.
Yes.
And if that journey can continue where we're inquiring about what we're singing, how we're singing it, how we're expressing what we want to express, and how this will look and sound like when we take it outside of Jamaica. You know, the types of questions that will come to us. And so that's a part of the journey that I feel we're in right now. And I, for one, I'm very excited about where it's going with the talent such as Sashika and the work that's being done by so many of us around the world as musicians. And I think it's great that we get an opportunity to do that just now.
Yes. And I mean, Denise, this is reminding me of another conversation that we will need to set in the future with Sirexi Small, who also wrote an article for the magazine and who has a music school, and is processing these things. How can we be culturally relevant in our music education and practice, and take our rightful place in the world of music, and not just to be seen as colonial children of the colony then, but to step into our own identity. And I mean, in this space where we where we have conversations about worship and cultural identity, to see how you, Andrew, have given us something to work with by writing these songs, and helping to bridge the gap. So that's why we entitled this whole conversation Breaking Barriers and Bridging Gaps. I hope everybody sees the connection there now. Barbie Shivana is saying thinking outside the box. Jade Thomas was just like, wow, and saying very interesting. John McFarlane, Lieutenant Commander John McFarlane, welcome to the conversation, was saying many of the best pop musicians are formally classically trained. And he said classical was once contemporary and was once folk. So we have to go through the process of development. Now, and Denise, we're going to have to have a follow-up conversation, right? And what I am seeing, Andrew, is that indeed you have brought out the musicians, the Jamaican musicians. I am seeing, John McFarlane is saying take our rightful place and not wait to be invited. But yes, it seems to me that we need to facilitate another conversation that goes deeper into some of those issues you just raised, and to see how in a practical way each person can contribute, can follow in the path that you have charted. And so we probably do need to wrap up now by just asking you to paint a picture of the the vision that you have for Jamaica, that this music that you are creating will, because I mean the themes I have noticed, and boy, this is why I wanted to continue the conversation, because the themes that you chose the first one that I noticed was the Run-A-Boat Symphony. Now, Run-A-Boat is a concept from, I think, inner city, uptown, downtown. If you were to look at uptown, downtown, it would be a downtown concept. Then you had
By the
the,
way, you need to tell the viewers who don't know Jamaican what Run-A-Boat mean.
oh, Run-A-Boat mean you just cook a big pot, and yeah, and everybody, and it's enough for everybody, right? But
Right,
enough food to cook.
right.
And then
Okay.
I don't know, Sashika, is it a rural area thing as well? On a run boats, a country?
It sure is. Yes, it is. We have the boats in the country.
Okay. Right. And then the next one, what was the second one again?
Nyabinghi.
The Nyabinghi. No, Nyabinghi is connected to Rastafari. And if you're thinking about here again, a dichotomy, I mean, Rastafari over here and the rest of everybody else on the other side, but you choose to entitle your piece Nyabinghi Symphony. Then the Kongkongkraba is from the Maroon community, and wow, I mean, that whole, I read on the background of that piece and everything, and then you have the Reggae Mass and the Revivalist Suite. You certainly have chosen, have been led, let me say you were led to highlight the marginalized, the different,
Yes,
the
yes,
the
yes.
disenfranchised, and to make it seem, and of course by using the Jamaican language, which has been
Yes.
demonized by so many, Andrew. I cannot begin to tell you some of the responses that I get from people about, and I mean, some people think it was a waste of time and money to translate the Bible into the Jamaican language, and yet you have added value to it by joining it with what is considered to be high and powerful and beautiful and by other people. So my husband is in the background saying, get to the question. And really and truly, I am thinking that you really can't answer the question in the space of time that we don't have anymore. But I want you to share with us your ultimate vision for the impact of all of this on Jamaica and the world. That's where I'm going with the question.
Absolutely. Well, I think very quickly, the idea is to have us rethink what we listen to, what we perform, and what we are determining will be ours in its inherent identity, in its sound, and in what we're trying to communicate. And this can be done in several ways. There is no one way. There's no amazing way and a less amazing way. Okay, I mean, it's just music. It's our ability on several levels to express the very minute aspects of life. And because we know that there are so many experiences, each of us have our own experiences, and these millions of experiences combine with each other, and those create other millions of types of
Reality.
experiences. And that's why there will always be new music to be written that will never sound like something else. And God is also amazing in his ability to be able to just bring this about. But the idea is in writing this stuff, Joanne, is to have us as Jamaicans begin to explore even more what it is like to be Jamaican.
Oh,
And to do so in the work that I'm doing, using this kind of approach, this type of the types of musical approaches to the text, to the different scenes around us, to the sounds, to the talents such as Sashikas and others that you'll hear on Friday night, to the members of the POJ, the orchestra. How will that begin to reflect who we are as a people? And I think as Jamaicans, as persons from without the Jamaican community attend our programs and they hear what we have to offer, that will in some way begin to inform that other side or that other kind of sound and sonic experience. We have so much of everything else already in terms of the popular style and the Vibes Cartel, the German Edwards, and the German Edwards. We have that piece, but there's another universe of musical expression that exists. And in attending and listening to what we're doing, we want to, I would like for us to begin to anticipate or to come with an open mind, to listen with an open mind, and to see if what we're doing is able to fit into the idea of Jamaican whole that I feel we are still in the process of seeking out. And it's an exciting time and an exciting venture.
wow. Well, we are excited. We are excited at what you've brought to the table. People, YouTube, um, Friday, April 2. And what's the name of the channel again?
It's it's ASTCM7. So you go youtube.com/ASTCM7, or if you type Andrew Marshall in the it should come up, and the video will be there.
Okay, do not miss it. It is Songs from the Passion, Jamaican style. You also need to find out more about Dr. Andrew Marshall and his work from the interview we did and the feature article we had on him in issue 5 of the KW magazine. That one that has the split face with the dark on one side and the light on the other side, because we're trying to see how do we be European and African at the same time. So I was trying to put the link in the chat here so that Dana could share it with everybody, but somehow my computer is not cooperating for me to be able to capture the link. So that link, Dana, that I put inside the chat will take people to all the issues. And that's why I'm even describing the cover so that you'll know which one has the article on Dr. Andrew Marshall. But of course, we are inviting you to sit down and have a binge, especially all who know in Jamaica right now who depend lockdown. Yeah? Somebody in here, let me make sure I quote them properly. Dr. Vivian Peter says, my Saturday in lockdown is made. Mm-hmm. Then you have people like Marshall Redwood who come late and say, start over, me just come. Yeah. Okay, ain't gonna happen, but you can always press the button after we're done and watch it again from top. Noel Wallace inside here saying, please, please, this has to continue. There has to be a part 2 soon. So as I'm telling you, the musicians are going to want to go deeper. So I'll see how we can facilitate that. If it's even like an inside job just for the musicians, but we'll see what we'll do, right, Denise?
Right,
Definitely.
definitely.
That. Wow.
You know, Andrew, Andrew, I am Dr. Marshall. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I'm listening to you, and incidentally, I don't know if you remember, but as a child, I attended the Spanish Town Seventh Adventist Church. And I remember your mom, I'm seeing her face right now, when you guys used to visit.
Okay.
And I was sharing with Joanne that there's a reason why your journey took you the way it did. And I just want, my impression is the Lord just whispered this fire in your heart to say, let my people go. And you have taken that mission. You're on a mission. You are on a serious mission, and I'm loving it, because when Joanne shared with me her experience in sharing the Jamaican New Testament, I can't remember the context, Joanne, where somebody was listening to the English version, and after you read the same story from the Jamaican New Testament, it's like she was like, wow, because she wasn't understanding it. But when it was said in the Jamaican language, she understood. She's seeing things that it's the same thing, Andrew, you have done for me. I don't know about anybody else, but this is what you have done for me with the combination of classical form and the Jamaican narrative. I now look forward to listening to classical music, so thank you for that. Thank you for that, and may God just continue to bless you on your mission.
Thank you so much, Lindy. Appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you for being with us, Sashika and Dr. Marshall. And the 6th issue of the KW magazine is now out. So if you go to that link that Dana has shared, you will see that. And of course, it is on our Facebook page as well. All right, we're going to wrap up now with our blessing. We are beg God for blessing you and keep you. We are begging for smile upon you. We are begging for showing him love, even though you know we not deserve it. And we are beg God for look upon you and go to feel in peace today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day until he come back. You know what? Good and one love.